Welcome, everyone. This is Polly Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin.
Hi.
And Cinders.
Hello.
Hello there. And this week we have another set of release notes. Where of special note for this week's little update is that the Riders of Rohan has arrived to the legendary worlds.
Woo woo.
Whee! And Riders of Rohan arrives. The expansion is now available in legendary worlds on Anar and Ithil, right into combat atop your loyal war steed, who will just take you over a cliff as quickly as possible, right?
No kidding.
No kidding. The legendary worlds are available to every player, active VIP, and all that usual stuff that they talk about it. And also, if you log on with an active subscription to a character on any world through March 12th, 2020, you will receive an account-wide cosmetic armor of the Elite Rider.
This is really cool armor.
I haven't had a chance to really look at that yet, but
See, all the pictures.
First thing I did.
Of course you would, yes.
All the pictures I've seen, cut off half the head. So I get to see, the outfit part. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm like, but what does this helmet everybody keeps talking about look like? But I haven't actually tried it on my characters.
And as for news and notes, the quests and adventure areas, Minas Morgul's 6-player instances are now available through Tier 5 difficulty, face increased challenges and Cyan foes on Gashan, Kutot, and the Halls of Black Lore, Marneth, the House of Lamentation, and the Fallen King. Final boss chests in Tier 4 and 5 runs of Gashan, Kutot, the Halls of Black Lore, and Bardada have a chance to drop items for 18 incomparable chests, all that usual stuff that they have with the new one. In Houses of Lamentation, a chest has been added to the Morloth encounter. The health of some 6-player monsters has been lowered, most notably Morloth's Roots, and fix an issue that could cause Manozagger not to aggro correctly, and a Sorcerer Vessel transition now occurs at 95% HP, up from 85%.
All of that tells me that this raid is kind of a pain.
Well, that's the usual thing when you've got new instances, and there are always little things that go wrong with them, as usual, because usually the first thing you see after you see the update is the list of known issues and what comes up in the forums to say, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And Hootbold's set armor is not set to current stat standards for level 85 gear is a known issue, so I have a feeling they're going to be tweaking that soon. I don't know how many people are already at Hootbold on the Legendary Worlds, but I guess we'll find that out soon enough.
I'm sure there's people.
Yes.
There's always somebody.
And in fact, I already saw a couple of people note that there's an issue in the part of Fangorn, in the Ease of Fang, where part of the quest area has you walk apart areas that are listed as being in Western Rohan instead of Eastern Rohan. And of course, that's a real no-no, because anyone on the Legendary server will be popped back to their home area if they stand in those areas too long. They said they will be fixing that as soon as possible, but if someone found that out, it means, yes, they're already up to the Entwash Vale. And I believe, yes, and there is also a closure of tiers 4 and 5 for the Halls of Black Lore, because apparently there was something wrong with one of the chests or something like that. Yeah, they closed it while they correct an issue that was causing chests not to spawn properly in tiers 4 and 5.
Well, you gotta have your chest spawn properly.
Well, of course, because you want to get that treasure.
Right. That's the whole point of doing the instance. Or something. I don't know.
Yes. And of course, my guess that you'll be able to see the outsides of the new, some sign of the new Rohan housing areas was completely off, and at least for the main worlds. But that said, we do have a little bit of word on that, and that relates to a little Borer update for 25.4. We'll start with the actual patch notes first, where they have added the first peek at a new raid, Remarkant, the Net of Darkness. And that, of course, is the raid that I've been joking about ever since they released probably Minas Tirith. And that, of course, is the infamous Shelob raid is finally to Borer.
Yay.
Yay, yeah.
I don't know why I'm cheering.
Much
I'm
to Sans
probably never going to
dismay.
do it, but
yeah, that's the problem. That is the biggest thing of the whole thing is that what are the chances I'll ever be able to get into a raid for this? Probably not much. At least not a serious raid, one that we're expected to go in there and really own the entire place at tier
I'm okay
5.
with a non-serious raid.
Hmm?
I'm okay with a non-serious raid.
Yeah, non-serious raid, a lore raid or something like that would be nice. We'll see if we can get one because we had one of those for the
Abyss.
For the Abyss. So I would like to have one of those just so that we could see that spider killed,
that massive deadly giant spider.
Yeah. And there's also a low-level itemization revamp where they are updating most of the low-level gear to modern itemization schedules. And this means that the gear will generally have more complex statting than currently and will conform more to modern style of statting. In particular, light, medium, and heavy armor at low levels will now almost always conform to the proper main stat because you know how much 1 to 50 armor is. You're wondering, what in the world is the statting for this?
Why am I getting might on my light armor? Yeah, that.
I mean, is it to help the minstrels with their shields or something? That's the only use I can think of might on light armor. As a rule of thumb, most low-level pieces will improve, some quite substantially. Monster statting at low levels will be tweaked to accommodate the change in player effectiveness as a result. And because many pieces of low-level gear featured only 1 or 2 stats, while the new versions generally have at least 3, you will often find that the points are distributed differently than before. Some existing stats may drop as a result, but overall value should improve, especially when the stat that's being decreased is might on your light armor.
Oh, we can hope.
Yeah. Rework the stats on most low-level crafted jewelry to more modern stat budgets also. And certain shields will now display smaller due to a bug fix that was causing them to double their scale increase from their smaller versions. Some examples of shields affected are Elven Soldier's Heavy Shield, Hardened Elven Knight's Heavy Shield, and Superior Heavy Shield of the Golden Host. And Adventurer's gear will now be based on level 412, which is the chance to create at up to the item level 417. This will coincide with the raid release, which includes item levels 426 through 430 in comparable and legendary gear. And as for stats, they're tweaking the balance of defensive stats versus vitality to encourage more variety and itemization in defensive builds. Right, partial avoidances are now about 12.5% cheaper at cap. Itemization budget for avoidances and incoming healing improves increases slightly. Itemization budget for tactical mitigation is reduced, and itemization budget for vitality and health reduced by about 5%. You'll see your morale drop somewhat.
I can see this being a problem. In fact, there's already people complaining about it on the forums. I noticed on that. My brief skim of the patch notes was like people complaining, which they're always complaining, but you can't drop morale and not expect some complaints. So
I guess how often I see people going in with massive morales that you're wondering, and this lore master has more morale than my warden for what reason?
Because they're awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And fix a bug that reduced certain ratings in the later game. All right. And as for crafting, craft guild recipes cooldowns can be reset using Mithril, but there is a known issue that the Mithril coin recipe reset will refund the Mithril coin spent. This will be corrected in a future build. Okay, this is Bulwer. I said for a moment, I said, what? Oh yeah, of course, this is Bulwer. So yeah, they certainly don't want that to go live. And Ithlarn shards are now awarded for completing the following weekly quests: Imlad Morgul, the Reclamation, Imlad Morgul, Veil of the Sorcery, and Imlad Morgul, Continued Threats. And in essence, this enchants for a quantity of malleable instances equals the tier of the essence. And Minas Ethel Tier 3 and Tier 4 essence crafting recipes can accept malleable essences in lieu of the normal ingredients list. And as for quests and adventure areas, another invisible townsperson of Brockamorians has been given her body back and is once again visible. The voiceover for Bestowal of Chapter 6 of the Court of Lothlorien Allegiance has been corrected, changed the art for the wart blooms in non-Curian since it were difficult to select, adjusted the draw distance for Sambrith in Mazag in the web. Okay. And the incomparable bracelet and chest gear drops from tiers 4 and 5 of the Halls of Black Lore and House of Lamentation will now properly drop the item level 418 on tier 4 and 419 for tier 5, and the miscellaneous jingling bell sound that was removed for several travel steeds that were where they were not appropriate. The steed of Lesar's host, the ice flower steed, the hunting steed, the seaward steed, the steed of the moon moth, the steed of the alliance of the third age, rescued steed of Agnath, the sunflower steed, the farmer's feast steed, the picnic steed, and the perfect picnic steed. Performance improvements that have been made to the client and DX11 interactive water will now work properly in 64-bit clients. Whew. Now, of course, what everyone seemed to be checking out on Bulwer is not in the release notes. And that is the housing areas.
That was like one of the only things Sans was looking at was housing. And then the weapon auras that they were trying out where they will, in theory, glow to the presence of something specific. So, like, if you were near orc, it would glow that color. Or if you were near a troll, it would glow. Sans tried it out, but she couldn't get it to actually equip. So she was really upset that she couldn't actually see how it worked in functionality. But I was like, I'm sure this is not the final build.
No.
Just be patient. It'll come back.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah. And then the Rohan housing, the thing that she was trying out was all the different colored lights that you could do. You could change the light coming in, and she was really shocked that I wasn't a huge fan of the pinks because I liked the white light better, but they had a whole array of things she could try out. And so she just was touring, and she found all the different sizes of houses because I guess they only had deluxe houses up, and in one area. It's bigger
So
than in the
they're
other
not-
area, and
So they're not bank vaults, I'm guessing?
they are not bank vaults.
No, not
One
bank
of them
vaults.
One of them has like a gigantic basement, and the other one has kind of a small basement, but it has a huge outdoor area. And now I want to know if they're going to give you a way to like stable your horses so that they're visible in the outside areas.
Well,
Because
now I noticed that they include a barn in one of the areas.
yeah,
And a stable in the other.
yeah, and so I thought it was really interesting. I was like, I wonder if they're going to give us a way to like put those out there so that all of your steeds could be on display in there. Because I'm like, what kind of housing item do you put in a barn?
A horse. It sounds like to me.
But there aren't, to the best of my knowledge, really horses that you can stick there.
Well, not yet. But they said that they have not yet.
All right, Discord's doing the thing. Because I caught like, they did not. And
here?
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, fine.
You.
Okay, you can hear me, but I only heard you once in the last minute or so.
Okay. Well, all right. I don't know what just happened, and I don't know what actually ended up being recorded, because it's possible the recording caught everything.
All right. Well, all right, very well. I will go by the assumption. What I'll do is I will go from the point where I was responding to about horses, okay?
Yes, that would be great, because I want to know what you had to say.
I say that this is just one of the things that they're working on, because they said that there are still a number of items that they are still working on for this update, and perhaps this is one of them, and that they will include a way in which to be able to show off your horses, because that sounds very appropriate for Rohan housing.
Right? I think that's totally appropriate for Rohan housing.
Yes. Now, the larger houses, those are mead halls.
Okay.
And another one of the things that they are trying to implement here is a way that other people could be able to port to your house.
Now that would be cool.
And the idea there is that they're not going to have kin housing at the Rohan areas, but that since anyone could make their house a meeting point, and that one of the main uses of kin houses is as a meeting point, they'll just allow people, because they figure people are going to be wanting those mead halls, and to make them kin house only might be a bit of a problem. So therefore, they're going to experiment with not having kin houses and make the mead halls as a personal house instead.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, those mead halls are big because, well, they're mead halls.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. And it looks like that these housing neighborhoods have fewer houses. I don't know if that's because they haven't implemented them all yet, or if that's the way they're expecting, because they seem to have 10 small houses, and small means about the size of the large houses in the old neighborhoods, and one mead hall, it looks like, in each of the neighborhoods. At least that's what I noticed. I had trouble following exactly what was what at the time. So I'll take a closer look the next time we have a bowl or a build. Maybe it'll be another one next week, or it'll be in 2 weeks.
Sam Burke in the chat saying, we want you to test the raid. Rohan housing. The raid, please. Rohan housing! Yeah.
I have a feeling that's pretty much how it went, actually.
Well, Sam also wants to know if the come with a supply of mead.
Probably not. I think you have to provide that.
Just bring your own mead.
BYOM.
Bring your own mead, yes. Well, yes, that's pretty much what happened, though. Sam is correct. That's why I think they left it out of the patch notes, because they figured if they put it in the patch notes, everybody would be rushing to the housing areas. Well, that's what happened anyway, even without them being in the patch notes.
Yeah. Well, I was joking with Sans. I was like, "Hey, do you want to see if we can try it? Like with just two of us, try the raid?" And she's like, "I'm pretty sure we won't make it in." It's like, "But we could try it. We could try it just to say we did." She's like, "No, I'm not interested in trying out the Shelob raid at all, ever. No, thank you."
Oh, no. And this is Sans' window of let's rush into with one person into Dragiok's lair, right?
Yes, but Dragok is a dragon, not a spider.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
The game changer is that the big bad is a spider.
Yeah.
And Sans generally wants no part whatsoever of anything with 8 legs.
Anything with if it's got 8 legs and 8 eyes, then she doesn't want anything to do with it.
That is true. If it's got 8 legs and 2 eyes, she isn't really interested either. She's not a huge fan of octopuses either. Although they're properly tentacles. But
when Scenario posted, housing wasn't the point or purpose of this bull roar. You're welcome to check it out, but the plan is to have a more focused preview test experience on it later once its new features have been implemented. To which Druid's Fire responded, "Well, it caused a stir amongst the housing fans in the community, to be sure. The new lighting hooks and options were a pleasant surprise, and the views from certain locations were amazing. Can't wait to see the next iteration." And yes, there was one house, one of the mountain houses, actually has in its yard a lookout tower.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Though I don't recommend it for a hobbit, because I went up there in a hobbit and I had a lot of trouble seeing over the seeing past the ramparts there. So
it's not recommended for short people. Got it.
Yes. Yeah, no. Rohan does not scale their houses to hobbits, apparently.
Well,
I am okay with that.
weren't exactly scaled for hobbits.
Well, that's true.
I'm okay with that, though.
I personally don't think that the deluxe houses in the Shire are scaled for hobbits. And that's why I refuse to buy one of them. And that's why I have one of the small houses in the Shire, because the deluxe houses, they're just, some of those rooms are just, I'm sorry, no hobbit would build like this. At least that's how I felt. At least that's how my hobbits feel.
But the question is, would a hobbit buy like that? I mean, really? I don't know. They might not build like that, but they're not in the Shire anymore. Would they buy like that?
No, I'm talking about the Shire. I talk about the Shire house.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Sorry.
The buy like that. Well, if they're in Rohan and they're buying a Rohan house, then it works. The extra space works there.
True.
But some of the large rooms in the Shire housing, I just say, right, that's a bit bigger than I want.
Maybe they think you have a large family.
Yeah, but usually the large families, I think, have more like warrens where they have many corridors with many small rooms popping out of it instead of these big, huge rooms.
That would make sense, but what do you do when you all want to get together and have dinner?
Well,
or a party.
I suppose you got a point with that one. I guess you will need a party room.
For sure, a party room. And maybe a dining room where everybody can sit and eat all together. I don't know.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, we only see a couple of rooms in the Great Schmeals. So,
yeah.
So we don't know what their party rooms are like in there.
No. But I mean, if they all party like Bilbo, you know.
Yes. Well, Bilbo, when he holds a big party, he holds it outside it, underneath the tree.
That's because he didn't build like the devs. Come on.
You got a point there. Let's head into the next part, and that is the LOTRO Beacon issue 148. where it looks like there's a bit of a Rohan theme here because of the arrival of the writers of Rohan into the legendary servers. And
Yeah.
And to the community spotlights, the Boston area on February 28th. Are you going to be there? If you do so, you could then join them for the community meetup, which we talked about last week, I believe. Or did we? No, I think we talked about it on Video Players News, not here. The community meetup will be on Friday, February 28th at 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time at the Adventure Pub, which is in Arlington, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. And it's not in the main area of Boston like they've been doing in recent years because it's very hard to get a restaurant that will give you enough reservations for that's close to PAX East, because this is, of course, in conjunction with PAX East. So they wanted to have something that's further away from that area. And remember, people under the age of 21 are welcome to the venue as long as they are with a responsible adult. There will be plenty of non-alcoholic choices at the bar as well. So no one under 21 without an accompanying adult that is responsible enough to make sure that you're not going around sneaking drinks. And what else on this? And this is at 190 Massachusetts Avenue in Arlington, Massachusetts. And of course, there'll be the usual thing, meet up with fellow LOTRO players and with some people like executive producer Severlin, and of course, you will have Cordovan there also, and perhaps other members of the DDO or LOTRO development teams. So that's a little bit of a pub night if you're in the area of Boston at the time. Now, they're expecting to lose a few people that live near the downtown area that don't want to go out of town, but they think they'll pick up a couple suburbanites who didn't want to go into Boston. So we'll see how that balances out on their numbers. And Light the Beacons has returned for episode 101 of this classic LOTRO podcast. LOTRO Light the Beacons 101, A Space Odyssey. All right, and see, the rock band Honolulu presents a special concert as a gift for all peoples of Middle-earth on February 15th. Well, that was today, but perhaps the link will tell us of where they have, maybe they streamed it or recorded or something like that. And Mirage on Honor recently recorded a run of their Tier 2 challenge of the Tower of Orthanc. And the Purple Pipe Week Parlor Band kicks off their Winter Classical concert series this weekend on Laurelin. And while most likely you've missed that already, of course, but it's possible that do they have the schedule for what's their next performances? All right, let's see. Creek Hollow and Laurelin were both today. And Belegier will be on February 22nd and Langeville on February 16th. So if you're listening live, you can perhaps make the Langeville showing on that one. And as I said, Belegier will be another week from now. So they're hopping around various servers and doing this. For the Ken Hall, We Happy Few hosts events every Saturday night on Creek Hollow called Hide and Seek. A hunter hides, a riddle is given, and the first 4 players to find the hunter with prizes of LOTRO points or gold wins. Oh, with prize, okay. The Ken also does trivia, stories, and more. Join them soon to find Eleniel, Cubethank, and Baldernarth to learn more.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, that could be an interesting one.
So I have a question. If the players hunting the hunter are hunters, can they use, like, how does the tracking work on a hunter? Can a hunter track other people? Like other normal players? No.
Nope.
Okay.
It's foes only.
Nice.
Then our weekly comment. For too long, Hobbit folk have gone without proper blank, and it's about time to change that.
Pies. Nobody gave them chocolate pie.
I was thinking pies too, only because of how long Holly Hornblower's been allowed to run her business.
Seriously.
I guess because I figured that hobbits have had proper pies, even if one of the major sources wasn't creating very good ones. I thought they at least had some proper pies somewhere along in the Shire. So I was just thinking around a completely different avenue, and the first thing that popped in mind was shoes or proper cobbler, because well, most hobbits, at least within the Shire, don't wear them. At least the ones in the western parts don't routinely wear them.
See, I was thinking shoes too, but then I was really thinking, pies.
I just thought
the pie's on the mind. Come on. Maybe.
There's plenty of pies, but they're not proper ones.
Oh, strict rules on her pies.
This is true. Some pies do not count as pies.
Pie is a good one, yeah.
They've never experienced a chocolate pie.
Well,
they have chocolate.
Chocolate pies are amazing. Chocolate is amazing.
Right? It would be life-changing for them.
Right.
It would be life-changing for them.
Also, I'm going to throw the Holly Hornblower argument out there, because the Hobbit is out there churning out these horrible pies and then making you go run after them. They need a better pie experience. That's an area that I would love to see phasing done in, so that after you finish that quest, she goes away. And then, like, the you know how you walk by the NPCs and they have this different chatter that pops up, the little chat bubbles. There's one in Mickle Delving, actually, that talks about this conspiracy so that the upper class supposedly have the best pie fillings.
Mm-hmm.
That chat is actually pretty hilarious to sit and listen to. Yeah, so you could walk through the Shire and have the NPCs talking about how Holly Hornblower's shady pie business got disrupted or something. So phasing's a thing that I wish would happen in that instance, because we spend an awful lot of time going after those stupid pies.
That is true. Or she actually makes good ones. If she doesn't disappear, she makes good ones with good berries that then everybody gets. And it changes to, oh man, I'm so glad it was like that one batch of berries that was just rancid,
Who doesn't test their berries before using the pies, though? Come on, seriously.
Well, yes.
Or while making the pies.
Say
you
people who don't
while you make the pies.
People who don't make berry pies. That's who doesn't.
Oh.
Or if you have just enough for your pie. I have just enough to make this many pies. If I eat one berry, the number's going to be wrong and it won't bake right. I don't know.
Well, there is that.
I'd probably fall in the category of people who are like, one berry. But what about the rest? Are they all bad? Just sit there and eat all my berries. Oops, I gotta make a chocolate pie now. No more berries.
Then in the fan site news, Volcanoes MMORPG is a Brazilian YouTube channel that talks the best MMOs of 2020, including LOTRO. You could click to see that now. Is the channel in English or in Portuguese?
That's a good question. I have no idea because I didn't click the link.
Yeah. It's in Portuguese.
Oh. Is it captioned? Or subtitled or whatever?
Okay. I guess I'll have to. Let's see. Well, I'll have to see what happens if I turn on. Well, okay. Well, let's see. Well, it can give you Portuguese subtitles. That doesn't help me much. Let's see if I can get some English ones. The Portuguese ones are auto-generated, so apparently there aren't any forced ones. Okay, so I guess that's the close. So the closed captioning is in Portuguese because they're auto-generated ones rather than ones that are intentionally put in there. So yes, there are no English subtitles. It looks like.
Find your Brazilian friends.
Right. So if you understand Portuguese, that might do for there. And last week, it says LOTRO Players News gets a Shelob snack. So it's more like Shelob had a snack of us, I think.
Yeah, Sans is still miffed about that.
Yeah.
And she's complaining because her Hobbit was too small to see on her screen. She was in so far she couldn't see the things. And so she didn't know to click on them. And she ended up being a Shelob snack. She was so miffed. She's like, my Sans Swinda Hobbit! Of all my Hobbits, it was Sans Swinda! I was like, it would have been really funny if it was all of your Hobbits except Sans Swinda.
Yeah.
She's like, it's not happening again.
Concerning the pies that we were talking about earlier, Sam Burke has a hypothesis. It was just a one-time event because a Nazgul aura spoiling food makes pets flee and hide, makes cows climb up on roofs, and so on. So the berries were spoiled by the Nazgul.
I like his conspiracy theory.
Because they did come through the Shire just before that time, right?
Mm-hmm. But did they go through Mickledelving? Or is there that
expansive? No, she's in
she's in Hobbiton.
Yeah, she's in Hobbiton. We know they visited Hobbiton because they visited the Gaffer.
Mm-hmm. Good conspiracy theory.
Yes. Now I could believe that a Nazgul would ruin those things.
Yeah, they hate berries.
Yes. Anything sweet they hate.
They need to eat more sweet stuff. That's what they need.
Yes.
Fix them right up.
Right. LOTRO Stream is your home for finding LOTRO on Twitch. You can check out recent shows on Kaiden, Shymatic, and Red Baron. And also on Twitch, check out recent shows on Jualine TV, Druid's Fire, and Ferlina. And on YouTube, you have Zagog, Deeds, and Dane gets a hint of defense, and Psychosis Patient has time to gain. And that's it for that. So let's head into our screenshot of the week, which has a couple of eagles. Since Jan chooses to fly where eagles dare in this week's screenshot, thanks for sending it in. If you'd like to send in a screenshot, you can email it to contact@sendingstonegames.com.
That's a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
Whee!
I say that all the time about the screenshots of the week, but that's really a really awesome shot because I was so in the moment when that particular time happened that I didn't even think to take screenshots. So I wonder if they went back through the reflecting pool to do it.
Most likely. And Sam Burke said earlier, had a suggestion that I'm sure that Sanswinda will hate, and that is to crossbreed everything with spiders. Dragon spiders, spider dragons, spider orcs, spider balrogs.
I think the spider orcs has already been done. Or are they spider goblins? Those orc things in whatchamacallit that change into like spider things with poison? What
yeah,
are
but
they?
they're more like humans that turn into spiders.
Okay, humans that turned into spiders.
If you're talking about the
The
Ungolidae,
Ungolidae.
Yeah, I thought they were orcs.
no,
No,
Tells
they're
how-
humans.
I say it tells how much attention I was paying. I haven't gotten to that point in the story. I've gotten to the point where we first meet them. I haven't gotten to the point where we find out how they became the way they did.
It's Radagast's fault.
Well, you
That's
have
what I've
run
heard.
into the Guaradane, right?
Yeah, but I haven't found out how they got to be that way either. I keep hearing it's Radagast's fault, but I have yet to talk to
It's not his
Radagast about
fault.
it.
Well, yes, there is that. All right. Then let's into our store sales. And what's on sale this week, Terry?
Some housing stuff. Weekly coupon gets you a free battle potion of restoration with coupon code BattleResto now through February 20th. I don't need any more of those. I get plenty through my Hobbit presents that I don't use. And select housing 25% off select housing decorations, select housing sets, housing property writs, select cloaks now through February 20th. And the Ill Omen skirmish event is going to arrive next week, beginning on February 19th, running through March 18th.
So that'll be 4 weeks.
Yep.
Lots of time to get your skirmishing in.
Yes. Let's then head into the site news, where we will begin with where is Emeralina number 42? Well, where were we last week?
Last week we were in the hot springs, specifically Dwarf Channel 10, north of Sigilgund.
I love how the dwarf channels are numbered.
Right. Well, I guess that keeps them from getting lost. I don't know. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. And she has been feeling very springy as of late, per request. So she's visited the hot springs. She's been dressed in spring colors, and she has visited places with lots of spring. And as you'll notice today, she is literally springing for joy.
Yes. Springing for joy. That's right. And
I can't tell you more about it, or it'll give it away.
Right, you don't want to give that away. So let's head into the Greater Morgul region, which is an article by Squirrel talking about various things to the Minas Morgul update. And a little bit of a spoilery article.
A little bit.
So I'm not going to go into any details on this, but if you'd like to send anyone, you can click on the link in the show notes or go to the LOTRO Players site to see what Squirrel has to say about the Minas Morgul update.
For those who like knowing what's coming.
Yeah. Or someone who wants to get his opinion after going through it themselves. Yes.
That too. But then I want to be a spoiler.
Then let's into our pick of the week, where Druid's Fire took a little bit of look at the Rohan housing. So I haven't had a chance to. This is a pretty long video, so she takes a nice, thorough look at the area. It looks like. So I'll need time in order to be able to watch this to get her take on it, since she's a little bit more into housing than I am. Since she's been known to sometimes tour people's houses during her stream in order to give awards for the best decorations and stuff like that. And also relating to this, when I was talking about that tower earlier, Guarendis pointed out that lookout tower that I was talking about looked a little bit more Gondorian than Rohirric. And I'm wondering then, it could be a Gondorian ruin that just happens to have been there.
Or maybe Gondor helped them build it.
I have a feeling.
It could be a Gondorian ruin, because wasn't it originally part of what is Gondor now?
Yeah. Yes, because that region used to belong to Gondor, so it could be something that was built perhaps 1500 years ago or something like that, and it's still there. Or maybe the Rohirrim co-opted it and kept it maintained, so it might not technically be a ruin, but it could still be a structure built by the Gondorians.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a possibility on that matter. So I think that the choice of making it look Gondorian is intentional in that it's an older thing. I would have to go look at it again to see if it looks like it's an older building, older than everything else in the neighborhood. If that's the case, then that could be a reasonable explanation of why it looks Gondorian.
And Grinder says Snowbourne is across the river and it's built inside Gondorian structures / walls, which is true. It's got all that Numenorian flavor.
Right. Now, these two new neighborhoods, they are both near Adoras. So one of them is in the mountains just to the southeast of Adoras. And I guess that's, and then there is another one that's in Kingsfell between going along the river. You have a ford on one end and there's a bridge on the other end. The bridge leads to Middlemead and the ford leads to the Entwash, into the whatever the Entwade, into the Entwade area. So you had those two. So the housing neighborhood is right in that area. As first housing neighborhood, I think that you could actually circumnavigate and actually go all the way around if you wanted to. Because usually they're set to places that don't have a back end on the mountain. All right. Any other matters on that? If not, let's head to our new player question. And Centers, what's the question this week?
What is the Ill Omen skirmish event?
The Ill Omen skirmish event. This is most likely annual event because this is only the second time they had it, but the first time was last year. So I guess they're going to hold it annually, where the special monsters appear in certain skirmishes each day. So they'll have a rotation where there'll be certain skirmishes that are going to be active. And I think it's done on a strict rotation. In other words, not random. In other words, they'll do one set of skirmishes, the Moria skirmishes one day, then they'll do the Mirkwood skirmishes the next day, then the ones that are in Eriador the next time, and going into a rotation on those all the way through. And these 4 or 5 skirmishes that are active in there will have these special bosses that are going to appear when you're running the skirmish. If you want to avoid the event, then it might be a good idea to check to see which one has the special bosses and avoid that skirmish.
Or, just go with Pine Leaf and then you don't have to worry about it.
Well, yes, but what if I'm intentionally searching for the ill omens or something? And
you still don't have to worry about it if you're hanging with Pine Leaf because he knows how to take care of everything else too. So you just hang out with Pine Leaf like I do when I do skirmishes.
Well, there is that.
And then you don't have to worry about knowing all the stuff because Pine Leaf knows all the stuff.
Yeah. So if you do run those, so if you do run those skirmishes, then be cautious and figure out where they're at. There are some of them where they're very hard to miss. It's very hard to miss the harbingers on some of them, and in some others it's easy to miss them. For example, in Assault on the Ringwraith's Lair, the harbinger appears when you come to the second area getting ready for the counterattacks, right where you have the counterattacks is where you're going to have the harbinger, where the harbinger appears. And it's like, okay, why do they bring the harbinger there? It's possible to avoid riling the Harbinger there, but the larger the skirmish you're running, the harder it is to do that. If you're in a raid, you're probably going to be fighting the Harbinger during these counterattacks. So yes, you have to talk to an NPC called Netta Pinleaf, and that she will tell you what the current active ones are and start your quest in order to try to collect them. And the Harbingers drop a special token in which you could get some cosmetics, which some people like, and some people say, "What, this? You're kidding me." So you have to check out what she barters before you decide whether you want to bother going for it or not. Actually, do they drop them, or is it that you advance a deed and you get? Oh, I have to remember. It's been a year since I've done them, so we'll find that out when it comes out again. But there will be a deed to advance in order to kill a certain number of Harbingers. And there's also a deed, I believe, for killing a Harbinger for every single Harbinger. And different Harbingers appear in different skirmishes. So that means you have to do a variety of skirmishes in order to be able to meet all the Harbingers. Now, I think there are about 4 or 5 different Harbingers that could appear in each skirmish. I'll have to go and check that out. But yes, there are just simply a large number of Harbingers going around there, and you've got to kill them all in order to complete these deeds. But the object there is you've got these big bosses that you need to kill, in addition to whatever normal stuff you have to fight in skirmish. Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
And then let's into our weekend LOTRO and Cinders. What were you up to?
Well, I definitely had to stretch to get 3 things. I got Where's M out on time. It was ready to go early today, but I set it to go at its usual time. I did get several of my characters logged in this last week, and when I did that, I received the new cosmetic outfit, but I have not tried it on any characters yet, because I was just logging them in so I wouldn't keep getting return mail, because my bags are full, shockingly enough. Yeah, but that was my week. Terry, how was yours?
I didn't actually have to stretch, but I did include last week because I wasn't on the show last week because we had a snowstorm and it knocked out the cable and the internet, and it was not fun.
Just send your snow our way next time.
Man, I totally would, but I'm pretty sure I can't box it up and ship it.
Unfortunately.
I get the feeling that it wouldn't really travel all that well.
True.
Otherwise, I totally would, because we're really not going to miss it all that much. Yeah, so last week, Terry also helped some rangers and then had a Shelob scare. I gotta tell you, this instance, I was so in the moment in this instance that my heart was literally racing when we got out of it. I didn't get snacked on, but it was really, really close. Because I was trying to figure out what I was running from, so I had to navigate and turn my camera, which you guys have heard stories about how well that usually works for me. So I almost got snacked on by a spider, but I did manage to run away. Sarissa the Berg has made it to Pelargir to help the Grey Company prepare for their trip down the Anduin, and is also trying to figure out what the heck is going on in Pelargir. Side quests. I'm reasonably sure that 5-second spoiler alert. I'm reasonably sure that we find out that one of the guys in the upper echelons of high society is behind the Corsairs getting into Pelargir. Which, you kind of root out corruption all over Middle-earth, so it's not that much of a shock to find it in Pelargir. Except it is, because there really was not any hint of it coming to Pelargir. So I was like, where did that come from? And then before going into Help Rangers, I wasn't really feeling going into Help Rangers. So I logged into Well-Dressed Killing Machine up in the Misties, and he finished out He took on a Nazgul. He finished out book 5 of volume 1 at level 42. So he was he was level 41 at the time. So he was a couple levels under And yeah, he just rips through things. So maybe Champion is not as bad as it used to be, because I remember actually Xing Xing having a heck of a time in the Misties at that level. But champions have been changed since then, so that's a good thing. Pineleaf, how was your week?
For my week, we'll begin with the field trip on Friday, where we headed to the Gates of Moria to get our legendary items. So we went through all the stuff from the expedition, then we got our items. We ran Thievery and Mischief at level 48, I believe. We had 148 and 247s. We finished that, and we were like inch away from getting level 10 on all those items. So I guess I'm so used to running that event at doing that quest at level 50, because at level 50, a solo Thiever in Mischief gets you enough XP in order to level it up to 10. So I was a bit surprised that a 3-player run at level 48 failed to do so.
Huh.
But we were tight for time, so running one that would surely have gotten us over like Tuckborough was not really in the picture at the time. So we got that, so we'll probably have our homework to be to just get that little bit of extra experience that we need in order to get it to 10 so that we could go on to the next point. And as for my burglar helped the survivors of a city on a hill and failed to make enough noise to wake a sleeping ent.
Don't you hate that? That ent is really hard to wake up.
Yeah, really hard to wake up. But, well, I do have to admit that burglars trying to make enough noise to wake up an ent is not exactly a...
Well, yeah, this is true because burglars are not the noisiest class.
Right. I tried going into one time going, Baruch Kazad, but it just didn't have the same volume as a dwarf would have.
Right?
Yeah, sorry about that. So that took care of that. So I finished up the epic in Wildermore and started on the epic going into Rohan. So just arrived at Adoras. Then my honor warden headed into Rohan for the start of season number 5 of the complete Pine Leaf. And we'll see how that's going. I am doing the epic first rather than going directly into the wold, because I figure most people will be going into the wold to get the war steeds.
Right.
And I want to go into the wold after the initial land rush so that things will have calmed down, hopefully, a little bit. Since this is part of a YouTube series at that, right? See?
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, so I usually try to do that. If I think most of the people are going to be going one way, then I usually choose the opposite way when I am doing that. Either that or going some weird hours. But it's difficult to do on Honor because on Honor, I can't just go on in the morning because you'll be running into the European people there, because Honor is a server that contains people from both sides of the Atlantic due to it being the legendary server.
Right.
And that's it for my week in LOTRO. So let's head to news beyond LOTRO, where Darren Loremaster talks about Gandalf on Orthanc, which is, of course, another one of his poems, and you can guess what this one's about. Walk back and forth, then forth and back atop Orthanc. Here I lack all aid, all shelter. Here I walk the confines of my prison, talk but with myself. What shall I do? That Saruman has turned. Who knew? Betrayed us all? The council white in which his contributions might have done much good. He did oppose the Dark Lord schemes, and yet it shows how dangerous researches are into the dark lore and grimoire of thaumaturgy and warped things like Sauron's vial power ring. The rings of power. Sauron's lore. How clear are things that had before long puzzled me? No, not the first is Saruman seduced, who durst ally himself to Sauron's power that is returning at this hour. Thus Gandalf paces under star, watching below orcs armed for war, assemble. Orcs of the White Hand for Saruman cover the land of Isengard to soon invade Rohan, and ready all is made. A wing beat! Gwaihir now swoops by on pinions hovering in the sky near Gandalf. Words the wizard spoke. Before orc sentinels awoke, the wizard mounts and quickly flies on Gwaihir's shoulders through the skies, leaving his prison far behind to warn his friends, and then to find some means to counter what he could, and do all a grave wizard should. We currently have 14 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or you'll be guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@LotraPlayers.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, and LOTRO Players @LOTROPlayers, Arendis @Arendis, PinyFit PinyNeals, Sandwinda @Sandwinda, and Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin, and Cinders @Emeralina. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Mondays at 7 p.m. US Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our shows at LOTROPlayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight, and this is PinyNeals reminding you to skirmish responsibly and watch out for those harbingers.